Natural gas futures higher today, but down 18% this year. We've got the president of an energy producer. He sees huge opportunity in the fossil fuel.
Bruce Vincent is the president of Swift Energy Company. It's an oil and natural gas producer. He joins us now from Houston. Bruce, great to see you. Thanks for coming in. Now, one thing that you mentioned in the notes that you sent us before this interview is that North Dakota, I wasn't aware of this, has an unemployment rate of 3.5% because of all its energy production. That includes oil and natural gas products. Do you think we could really cure our jobs recession if we just let energy flow in this country, sort of deregulated, so that we have pumping enough energy here?
Well, we could actually go a long way to doing that very thing. You know, in Texas alone, the oil and natural gas industry over the last 5+ years has grown about 35%. North Dakota is probably the perfect example in the U.S. today with a 3.5% unemployment rate. Lots of jobs. They're bringing people in from out of state. Lots of opportunity. We're doing the same thing in Texas, particularly in South Texas, one of the developments down there.
Okay, let's get to the issue. And you've got this glaring, flashing red light that says Keystone Pipeline snafu. You had this whole thing completely derailed. So I'm wondering, you know, when there doesn't seem to be a taste, at least inside the Beltway, for this kind of drilling, how do you get government on board when a lot of people elsewhere really would like to get this going?
Well, that's a good question, and unfortunately politics get in the middle of it. You know, the oil and natural gas industry is moving ahead, creating jobs, developing American supply. We're actually growing natural gas production in the U.S., growing oil production in the U.S., have an opportunity to make the United States the largest producer of oil in the world over the next 5+ years. And we're doing that, though, in the face of an administration that's been adversarial over the last 3 years.
Right. So can you keep powering? Can you keep powering ahead and say, all right, we'll figure out a way? Because not only do you have an administration, every state has different drilling regulations, do they not?
Well, we will power ahead, and I do have this dream, though, sometimes that if government was your partner, how much better we could do. Regulation is something that's a needed part of business. But it can also become a burden if it becomes duplicative and adds needless paperwork and needless burden to an industry. The oil and natural gas industry has been around for 150 years, well regulated. It's been generally regulated at the states because the issues are different in Texas than they are in Pennsylvania. They've been very successful at doing that. Times change, regulations do need to be refined. The states are doing. Texas even very recently passed a law in the state legislature earlier this year to add chemical disclosure to hydraulic fracturing fluids. That's something the industry is happy to do. The regulations actually follow a system set up voluntarily by the industry for voluntary disclosure. The states are very effective at that. We do not also need the federal government to come in and superimpose an added layer of regulation, though, on top of something that's worked.
Now, despite all that regulation, though, we have to emphasize that some analysts say we are in line to leapfrog over Russia and Saudi Arabia in terms of being the #1 energy producer, oil and gas, in the world by 2017. Now, is there a chance that we may miss that boat if we overregulate?
Well, we could, but I think the industry is going to be sure to make it happen. Technology has allowed us to develop resources in this country that have been sitting under our feet for a long, long time, but we now have the ability to get them out of the ground. Goldman Sachs actually came out with a report about 2 months ago that forecasted the United States to have oil production of about 10.9 million barrels a day in 2017, which would leapfrog both Russia and Saudi Arabia, make the United States the largest producer of oil in the entire world. And that's remarkable because many viewed the oil and natural gas industry as an industry that was in its twilight years.
Right.
And now it's given rebirth to itself and a great opportunity for people for jobs, great opportunity to provide low-cost energy for American manufacturing, American businesses, feedstock for the chemical and petrochemical industry, but also make us less dependent on foreign sources, which actually enhances national security as well.
That's the best part, that and that it's cleaner, certainly, and we have a lot of it. But Bruce, as we finish up here, looking at the real challenges, the price. Can you guys make money even if the price of the actual product itself is hovering around $3 per unit here? I mean, it used to be 14. The price has fallen precipitously, and you know, if the profit is taken out of it at that end, can you still make money?
Well, you're absolutely right. On the natural gas side, at $3 makes most of the plays uneconomic. But what the industry is able to do is divert capital to the liquid-rich plays because we've taken the technology into those areas in the United States as well and developed those. And so the economics of a liquid-rich play, where you're really tied to the price of oil, is significantly different than dry gas. And ultimately, dry gas will have to compete for capital over time, and so supply and demand will balance that out. The price will rise a little bit. But over the long run, you're going to see a much less volatile pricing mechanism, particularly with regard to natural gas, because the supply is so abundant.
Bruce Vincent, Swift Energy Company. Keep doing a good drill, and thanks a lot for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Absolutely, anytime. Well, keeping the U.S. away